Welcome, everybody. It's Football Diehards. I'm Bob Harris, senior editor here, Emil Cadlick, publisher and editor-in-chief at the website. And Emil, we've had some exciting developments. Look, we all knew the COVID-19 situation was going to create a lot of intrigue and interest here, and one of the issues is players can opt out. We had seen a handful of players opt out, including 6 New England Patriots, some of them high-level defenders, but we hadn't seen any high-level offensive players. There was Devin Funchess and for the Packers opted out, and some of the Patriots, Brandon Bolden, more special teamers. Fullback Danny Vitale, which maybe is a little concern. The immediate talk was the Patriots are tanking. This is a Belichick scheme. Deontay Hightower and Eugene Chung, some pretty big name guys. So a lot of players opting out. The Chiefs had an immediate opt-out, and Laurent Duvernay Tardif, I'm saying that right, the offensive lineman, they quickly pivoted and made a pickup there, so no big deal. But then all of a sudden, out of the clear blue, Damien Williams opted out, and that was a bit of a surprise. I don't think any of us were expecting it. And the subsequent rise of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the rookie, is the guy that is drawing all the attention now, right? And I felt like he was being wildly overdrafted, in my opinion, leading up to this. And people had the expectation he was going to come right in. We've seen in the past, Emil, that rookies don't necessarily dive right in. Sometimes they have to work their way in. And with Williams there, we expected to be the immediate starter. Now he's not. Where do you view, or how do you view Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
Well, can the guy get any higher? I guess he can. We have him ranked around 19, 20. A lot of people have him close to top 10. That's really high. He's got to be able to protect the quarterback. However, even if he's not in all the time, there's such a potent offense, and he's such an excellent receiving back. He's got a chance to be a top 10 running back. But what do you have to pay to get him, Bob?
Yeah, that's the problem for me. I bumped him up a little bit in mine to right outside that top 12, and I don't think I'll get him there. I think if you want to draft him, you're going to have to reach up a little bit into that first round, especially in the immediacy. And this is something we often talk about on Football Diehards on SiriusXM Fan Sports Radio. Here on the website, we look down at the drinking saw. We chase the immediate minute-to-minute news, especially in this age of Twitter and instant analysis. It's understandable, right? We want to gain leverage. We want to get the jump on people, but we should be mindful that Darrell Williams, who had 56 touches last year, is still there. Darwin Thompson, who this time last summer was the darling of Fantasy Nation as well, a guy that people were investing in, not maybe like this level, of course, but certainly a guy who had our attention. Don't overlook either, in addition to Elijah McGuire, who I'm kind of going to be dismissive of here, DeAndre Washington I'm not going to be dismissive of, because in 3 starts for the Oakland Raiders last year, replacing an injured Josh Jacobs, he had 70 touches, 334 yards from scrimmage, and a pair of TDs. He was very solid, and you wonder if we won't see him get a little play. And now, could they still sign a free agent? LeSean McCoy seemed like a natural fit after, he didn't contribute there much last year, but he was on the roster. He signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this very day, July 30th, so he's going to move into that rotation. Devonta Freeman is still there, but right now, I guess what I would say is if you're drafting Clyde Edwards-Helaire and you have an anticipated ceiling that is that top 5 range, then yes, go ahead and pay for him. You still have some room to catch up. I'm not a fan of drafting people at their anticipated ceiling.
Yeah, it's a lot of value you're going to have to give up to get this guy. You may want to back him up with one of these guys, but again, you have that typical problem. You just named 3 or 4 guys who could end up being the number 2 running back for the Kansas City Chiefs. And DeAndre Washington is a seasoned veteran who's a pretty darn good back. He's not an incredible back, but who was Damien Williams before he came
right,
to Kansas City? He was a nobody. Where they got him from? Where did they get him from? Tampa Bay or
Miami.
something?
He came from Miami. He had been other teams as well. So
he was a nobody.
More of a kick returner.
More of a kick returner.
Yeah. Yep. So I think I'm going to just point out some of the other rookies, though, who have had success under Andy Reid. You can go back to 1999, Deuce Staley, 2004, Brian Westbrook, who is the guy the Chiefs, Andy Reid and GM Brett Veach compare as CEH to is Brian Westbrook. He was very successful in 2004, LeSean McCoy in 2010, Jamal Charles in Kansas City in 2013, and Kareem Hunt. But Kareem Hunt only started because Spencer Ware got hurt, right? He didn't open the season as a starter.
That's true. Yeah.
Still very successful. So, look, I see the upside. It's just a matter of do you want to pay for it?
Well, we see the upside, which you almost have to have if you're going to take him as the 10th or the 10th running back. I don't know where that is, middle of the second round, late the second round.
Early second.
Early second. So you're going to, if you have a late first round pick, you can get this guy in the second round, perhaps. We'll see how the ADP goes, and he's going to have to produce. And you may end up having to take a DeAndre Washington, or maybe the Darwin Thompson, just to protect yourself later on. So it's got to work, and he's a rookie. But of course, he is going to be playing for one of the most potent, if not the most potent, offenses in the league.
And we have to compare him to some of the guys that are going to go in that range, anywhere from the middle of the first round on. You're looking, I'd say outside, as we have McCaffrey, Barkley, Elliott, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara at the top 5. After that, you're looking at a range of guys that includes Joe Mixon, Derrick Henry, Kenyon Drake, Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones is in that range as well. Look, I'm the kind of guy who I'd rather wait a little later and pay a little less for Chris Carson. I'm okay with that. I think there's some touchdown upside, some, Leonard Fournette, it's clear path to workload. But the value, you're drafting those guys in the third round as opposed to the second round. I'd feel a little more comfortable there. But look, if you want to get that upside, that's where you're going to have to chase it at.
Well, most of those guys you just mentioned, if not all of them, have proven history of being a quality back that could be, in that makes sense to be in that range. You're getting a guy who, those clean rookies, and of course running backs can do it. And you've mentioned how the coach there in Kansas City has done that with a lot of guys, and Kansas City has a lot of power. You're still in the position where here's this rookie who's got to perform high if you're going to be taking him in the middle of the second round.
Right. So I think we're on the same page here. And honestly, Jonathan Taylor, the rookie I preferred, or I did prefer before this development, is, going way later. His ADP seems to be dropping as people are buying into the notion he'll be sharing early on, likely some with Marlon Mack, and Nyheim Hines is going to have a role. I'm not dialing back. I'm diving all in at that current ADP, which I think is very reasonable. I don't think you can go wrong with getting a guy like Jonathan Taylor's talent, and he's coming off as running back 22 right now in the fourth round, according to the latest ADP. So I kind of prefer something like that. But look, to each their own. There are many ways to build a team. Before we cut this one off, Emo, I wanted to get your thoughts on McCoy going to Tampa Bay. It's a veteran minimum deal. Gets $1 million basically for the one-year deal to join Tom Brady. But they have Ronald Jones. They have the rookie coming in, Keyshawn Vaughn. They have Dare Ogunbowale. And a couple other guys in the mix there. McCoy was not impressive last year, played in 13 games, wasn't even active for the Super Bowl, though, kind of fell off the radar late in the season, averaged 4.6 yards on 101 carries, 4 rushing touchdowns, 28 catches, 181 yards, 13 games. Is he worth a late round flyer to you? And what, more importantly, does he do to the value of guys like Ronald Jones and Vaughn, who were kind of messed up anyway? We're having a hard time figuring that one out.
I personally, this is kind of mean, but I think he'd probably be a good guy to have in camp. Hopefully teach these kids how to prepare and, learn. I don't know if he really cares about it. I'm not sure who the guy is, but hopefully he can teach these guys. I just don't see what he's got left. It's how poor he played in last year with Kansas City. Like you said, didn't play week 16, didn't play week 17. I forget exactly. Only didn't even get a carry in week 15. I mean, I remember him fumbling, and it just
that was the issue. That's what's got to start.
It's embarrassing to think you weren't even you didn't see activity in the Super Bowl. Here you had all that time to prepare, and you didn't even get in the Super Bowl. I think it's, again, we're talking preseason, and you see a lot of these guys, get on rosters, and he could really help that team as a mature leader. But I think it's Ronald Jones and Vaughn who we're going to fight over who's going to get the starter and who's going to be productive. And I don't even know if he'll make the roster personally. But,
and you could always play the cheap piece. The free piece is Ogunbowale, the receiving threat there. I think these other guys can catch the ball well enough. But if you're not looking to invest at that price, at the prices they're going, and Jones is currently the 30th running back off the board, about a 6th-round price tag on him, and Keyshawn Vaughn, early 8th round for him. So, look, it's not like you're overpaying for any of these guys, but Ogunbowale is the free square in best ball who might have – turns out Tom Brady likes to throw to the running back.
It's
So
going to be hard to find a place for McCoy in your in any of your leagues, even deep leagues. It's going to be hard. As you mentioned, there's 3 solid guys there. So I would find it hard to find a way to get him on my roster. I wouldn't even think about it personally.
All right, there you have it. I'm Bob Harris. He's Evil Cadillac. We'll be back on a semi-regular basis. Watch for more content as developments warrant. And look, there are going to be developments, right? We're seeing them on a daily basis. Hit the news and views section of the site to keep up with all the latest moves, news, COVID-19 reserve list players who can come off quickly. Check the left side nav bar for all kinds of new files and content. And the latest podcast will be up, I believe, later this week or maybe even tomorrow. And we have great articles by Kyle Dvorak, John Laub, amongst others. So check it all out, footballdiehards.com. If you aren't, for some reason, a subscriber, go to footballdiehards.com/free trial. If you are, as you well probably are and should be if you're not, use the promo code Diehards to sign up now and get a 15% discount. We look forward to seeing more of you.
Bing bong.